Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 7 Part 5 based on novel. So let's start. The Dark Vortex channel was like a gigantic black python as it charged barbarically into the Pill River, before finally connecting with its deepest depths. Ding! From within the channel, a light ray suddenly shot out explosively while traveling at a frightening speed towards the deepest depths of the vortex. At this moment, a golden ray of light started to gradually brighten in the darkness of the depths. Have I finally arrived? Lin Dong narrowed his eyes and stared at the enormous golden light in front of him. From with the golden light, he felt a fluctuation that was extremely vast and savage. That was likely the golden nirvana chi that was born at the depths of the Pill River. This fluctuation feels somewhat familiar, Lin Dong muttered to himself, before a jolt went through his mind as he recalled. Was this the same golden energy that was present within his body after swallowing the Yuan spirit that was in Lin Langtian's body? From the looks of it, these two types of energy should be similar. However, the nirvana chi that was born within the Pill River did not have any consciousness and was not subject to anyone's control. Looks like the pressure is starting to increase. Lin Dong's eyes were staring at the two flanks of the vortex, before moving towards the bottom of the river. The pressure was getting stronger and strong, and soon it made his skin feel uncomfortable. The Pill River was unlikely any ordinary river, and the liquid that was flowing through it was not ordinary river water. Instead, it was formed by nirvana water created from the condensation of nirvana chi. The pressure resulting from it was something even a nirvana stage expert like Lin Dong did not dare to underestimate. Ring! With a thought, faint green light started to surge around his body, immediately dissipating much of the pressure. Following his gradual mastery of the green heaven materialized dragon skill, the resilience and strength of Lin Dong's physical body had exceeded that of a 6-yuan nirvana stage expert. After the green light fully enveloped Lin Dong's entire body, he didn't hesitate and explosively shot outwards. Finally he shot out of the vortex channel and headed towards pulsating golden light at the bottom of the river. Hiss! When Lin Dong just came out of the vortex channel, he started to sink downwards violently. A vastly stronger pressure started to seep into him, causing the green light enveloping him to turn slightly dimmer. After realizing this situation, Lin Dong's expression turned solemn and serious. With a faint tremor of his body, row after row of green scales started to rapidly wrap around his entire body. Just like a suit of armor, they covered almost every inch of his body. With the emergence of the scale armor, the pressure immediately dissipated, finally allowing Lin Dong to observe his surroundings. This was the bottom of the Pill River, however no silt or mud was present. Instead it was filled with rich golden light which radiated outwards, forming an area with a radius of roughly 10 meters. Outside of this radius of golden light was a dark and murky environment. Lin Dong gaze swept around his surroundings meticulously, before congealing on the large patch of golden light in front of him. At the bottom of the Pill River, the golden light and the nirvana chi existed beside each other, with not a slightest hint of mixing. So this is the nirvana golden chi, what a savage and potent energy. Lin Dong slowly stretched his dragon scale-covered palm and reached within the golden light. As his hand reached deeper and deeper, he gradually felt a viscous sensation. The violent fluctuations that followed caused Lin Dong to feel a faint stabbing pain on his hand. It's time to act. Lin Dong gave a sigh in his heart and no longer hesitated. With a step he entered into the radiating golden light. Hum. As he walked into the golden light, the scales on his body started to produce a faint humming noise. Green light started to blossom outwards, protecting Lin Dong against the corrosion caused by the violent energy. After completely submerging himself within the golden light, Lin Dong proceeded to sit down. With a solemn expression, he formed a seal with both hands, as a suctioning force started to pulsate outwards from his body. Roar! As the suctioning force started to proliferate, the calm golden light started to seethe violently. Golden chi bubbles started to explode around Lin Dong's body, as ray after ray of golden light shot into Lin Dong's body like a thunderstorm. As the rays of golden light shot into his body, they exploded into countless amounts of golden mist as they enter his body before traveling deeper into his body's core. Hiss! As those golden fog attached onto his internal organs, Lin Dong's face turned boiling hot. Sucking in a deep breath, clattering sounds could be heard escaping from the seams of his teeth. The mist was like boiling lava, and as it coursed through his body, his meridians, muscles, and even bogs started to gradually turn red hot, akin to being roasted by fire. Such violent nirvana golden chi, however, this is not enough to deter me. Lin Dong clenched his teeth, and with a thought, mysterious dragon roar started to resound within his body. This sound wave started to spread to every corner of his body. When it reached his meridians, muscles, and bones, a faint green glow appeared on them. While being gradually enveloped by the green glow, a faint and abnormally ancient aura started to emerge within his body. This aura was like the dragon race of the ancient times. Green Heaven materialized dragon skill was a skill that allowed a human's body to train to the level that rivaled the true dragon race. This was in addition to the true dragon chi that Qing Shi had left within his body, something that was only possessed by the elite dragon race. This allowed Lin Dong's physical body to slowly evolve from inside as he continued to practice the Green Heaven materialized dragon skill. It was common knowledge to everyone that no matter how strong and resilient a human's body was, the organs was always the weakest spot. Generally, if an opponent were to pierce these organs, the resulting damage would most likely be life-threatening. However, the Green Heaven materialized dragon skill was different. It allowed not only the skin and the muscles to increase in resilience, even his internal organs and blood vessel were gradually strengthened as he continued training. This was the most abnormal part of the Green Heaven materialized dragon skin, which was why Lin Dong didn't hesitate in learning it. He knew that if he was able to master it, his physical body will definitely rival that of a true dragon. Since he possessed such a resilient body, wanting to absorb the violent nirvana golden chi was not as difficult as expected for Lin Dong. Kai Kai! Once again, the golden mist lunged towards those organs covered by the green glow. However, this time, the severe pain that it caused was greatly reduced. The mist slowly entered his flesh and bones. At that moment, Lin Dong could faintly feel a violent energy, akin a raging dragon, starting to grow within his body. While the nirvana golden chi was tempering his flesh and bones, a large amount of them was also sucked away by Lin Dong's yuan power. As those yuan power flowed within his meridians, they started to turn increasingly vigorous. As he examined the changes that are happening to his body, a hint of a smile appeared on Lin Dong's face. Nirvana golden chi was an absolutely wonderful supplement for nirvana stage experts. Not only would it strengthen the body, it could increase the vigor of one's yuan power. The rate of improvement was many times faster than ordinary training. This place is not bad, all this nirvana golden chi should not be wasted. Lin Dong opened his eyes faintly and looked at the 10-meter radius of golden light within the Pill River's depths. Within this light radius were thick and copious amounts of nirvana golden chi. This time, Lin Dong's expression when he looked at them was filled with greed. With the Green Heaven materialized dragon skill, Lin Dong was able to disregard that enormous pressure. Furthermore, it allowed him to easily endure the pain that would torture a normal nirvana stage expert to death when absorbing the nirvana golden chi. Although the pain was still present, it was not hard for Lin Dong to endure it. However, the pressure is getting heavier and heavier. Lin Dong glanced at the dragon scales on his body and noticed their dimming green glow. The originally bright green glow was gone. It seems like the pressure here was slowly increasing in intensity. However, now that Lin Dong had a taste of the benefits of the nirvana golden chi, he would naturally not give up that easily. As for the growing pressure, he wanted to find out how much more his physical body could endure. Devour it! Lin Dong started to create a seal before a pulsating black hole started to appear with his palm. The next moment, devouring force started to spread out from it. Wish! With the appearance of the devouring force, the floating clump of golden light started to fluctuate violently. Streams of golden light started to form, flowing with a frightening speed into the black hole in Lin Dong's palm. Following the absorption of a large amount of nirvana golden chi, Lin Dong's face started to glow with a faint gold light. From far, he looked akin to a solemn and dignified Buddha. At this moment, as he continued to devour, Lin Dong's aura started to slowly climb. A cluster of golden light lingered at the bottom of the dark Pill River and it appeared extremely dazzling. However, At the bottom of the Pill River, which was filled with a frightening pressure, only the golden light cluster would infrequently explode and form gold-colored air bubbles, which emitted a slight clear sound in the process. One could vaguely see a figure seated within the dense golden light that was a couple of 100 feet in size. The viscous nirvana golden chi around his body was just like numerous water streams that continuously poured into that figure. A slight buzzing sound quietly appeared. After one sight shot into the light cluster, the figure finally gradually became clear. Green-colored scales reflected a faint green light. However, one could vaguely see a faint bright red color in the gaps between those scales. A little bloody scent emerged from within. Lin Dong had already sat for 3 days at the bottom of the Pill River. During these 3 days, the pressure around him grew increasingly stronger. This situation was as though the pressure of the entire Pill River was gradually gathered towards his direction. That endless growing pressure was sufficient to cause one to feel fearful. In the face of this gradual increasingly terrifying pressure, the pores all over Lin Dong's body was still gradually pressured by the great force until blood traces flowed out from all of his pores. Although he was not seriously wounded, the continuously increasing pressure would definitely reach quite a terrifying degree, should this continue. At this moment, Lin Dong finally completely sensed just how great a price he must pay if he wanted to successfully absorb all the nirvana golden chi at the bottom of this Pill River. That increasingly terrifying pressure was something that even he, who had practiced the green heaven materialized dragon skill, did not dare to underestimate. Although the pressure was frightening, Lin Dong also reaped plenty of benefits during these 3 days. As traces of nirvana golden chi entered his body, he could clearly sense that his physical body was also gradually being strengthened and the tempering originated from within. Even his blood and flesh appeared to be nourished with strength. Following the strengthening of the physical body, the yuan power that flowed within Lin Dong's inner channels also grew increasingly powerful. It was just like galloping river water that whistled past. Waves after waves of unusually powerful energy were directed to all of Lin Dong's limbs and bones. Lin Dong could clearly sense that the strengthening of his yuan power during these 3 short days could be comparable to 10 times that from his normal training. This was quite a frightening number. However, it was not overly incredible. The nirvana golden chi was something that was agglomerated from extremely pure nirvana chi. The nirvana chi that was contained in just a little trace of it would be able to compare with the result of the training of an ordinary person in 1 day. Of course, with the strengthening of one's physical body and yuan power, the thing that really surprised Lin Dong was another matter that occurred. There were quite a number of things in Lin Dong's dantian. The one that occupied the middle was a fist-sized dim golden-colored yuan dan. The yuan dan was slowly rotating and continuously swallowing the vast and powerful yuan power. Above the yuan dan was a large cluster of green-colored chi. Dragon roars was continuously emitted from within. The aura churned and it vaguely gathered into a rising dragon manner. This cluster of green chi was naturally the heavenly dragon chi that Qingxi had left behind. It was far too wild and violent and Lin Dong was unable to completely absorb it. All he could do was to gradually control it through the green heaven materialized dragon skill and allow these heavenly dragon aura to naturally merge into his body. At the bottom of the yuan dan was a flowing golden light. There was an extremely mysterious ripple present within the golden light. This was the yuan spirit chi that he had obtained after swallowing the yuan spirit within Lin Langqian's body. From a certain point of view, the nirvana golden chi that Lin Dong was currently absorbing could be considered the same type of energy. Lin Dong clearly did not understand the utility of the yuan spirit chi, which was not something that he could control at his level. Hence, he had always placed it within his dantian while waiting for his strength to advance before controlling it in the future. That was Lin Dong's plan. However, during these 3 days when he was absorbing nirvana golden chi, he discovered that each time he absorbed a little of the nirvana golden chi, there would be some golden light charging into his dantian and merging with this yuan spirit chi, gradually strengthening the latter in the process. This event also caused Lin Dong to be a little shocked. This yuan spirit chi was after all something that belonged to that yuan spirit. Although Lin Dong believed that he had already eroded all of the consciousness within it, this occurrence still caused him to feel a little uneasy. Fortunately, as the yuan spirit chi grew stronger, it did not break free of his control. Only the golden light became brighter by the day. The originally somewhat illusory golden light had also become a lot more corporeal. Lin Dong was able to sense an unusually powerful fluctuation from within this cluster of Yuan spirit qi. This kind of fluctuation had some difference from Yuan power. However, Lin Dong could sense that this Yuan spirit qi appeared to possess an extremely shocking lethal force. I want to see just what you are thinking of doing. Lin Dong's mind observed that cluster of Yuan spirit qi while muttering in his heart. The interior of his body possessed the mysterious stone talisman and the devouring ancestral symbol guarding it. Even his dantian possessed that ancient universe formation. Hence, he did not believe that this thing could misbehave in his body. Time quietly flowed past within this quiet bottom of the Pill River. In the blink of an eye, 5 days had already passed. During these 5 days, the bottom of the Pill River continued to remain silent while the outskirts of the Pill River grew extremely lively. A large group of desolate Hall disciples were clustered together on the river platform. Quite a number of people also stood on some of the platforms surrounding the Pill River. Although most of them were training, their eyes were all gathered in one direction without any prior agreement. That place had already become an isolated zone with a whirlpool over it. Their eyes were filled with surprise. This was because Lin Dong had already remained at the bottom of the Pill River for 5 days. Moreover, he did not show any signs of breaking out from the river. The disciples of the desolate Hall were clearly aware of just what this time represented. Currently, one of the 4 senior direct disciples of the desolate Hall, Fang Yun, was merely able to endure for 4 days before being unable to endure the pressure and coming out of the river while receiving the Pill River head immersion last year. Moreover, he was covered with fresh blood and appeared exceptionally miserable when he came out. However, the time that Lin Dong had currently endured for had already exceeded this timing. Did that not mean that Lin Dong's metal was even tougher than Fang Yun? If this was really the case, it seemed that their desolate Hall was going to produce another fearsome person. Moreover, this fearsome person had just joined the desolate Hall. Chen Zhen's and Wu Dao's figure did not move above the Pill River. However, their eyes were locked onto the whirlpool below. Their expressions were becoming a little serious. That little fellow is really able to endure, Wu Dao fondled his beard. His voice contained a joy and pleased note that could not be hidden. Enduring for 5 days. He could be considered to be above average amongst the disciples of the 4 halls when it comes to receiving the Pill River head immersion. Chen Zhen also smiled. Of course, the most important thing was that Lin Dong still showed no signs of breaking out of the Pill River despite having already endured for 5 days. In other words, it meant that he could still continue. By relying on his exceptional ability, Chen Zhen was able to vaguely sense the obscure aura at the end of the whirlpool. This Pill River is unique. The pressure below will become increasingly frightening each day. Those last few days are truly the most difficult to endure through. Wu Dao softly said. Let's just wait. As long as this little fellow is able to endure for another 3 days, his result will equal that girl Xiao Xiao, Chen Zhen smilingly said. Wu Dao nodded slightly. 3 days might appear quite short, but for Lin Dong, who was at the bottom of the Pill River, it was likely that he would have to pay a hefty price. Whether he could endure on would depend on his own ability. Time passed by a day at a time under the great anticipation of the many disciples in the desolate hall. The atmosphere of the desolate hall also soared suddenly as time passed. Some of the direct disciples who were usually undertaking a retreat and trained bitterly were also disturbed. Finally, they came out of their retreat and crowded around the Pill River. When Lin Dong had entered the Pill River for the 7th day, this news was directly spread everywhere. Some of the disciples from the other 3 halls also heard of it. Immediately, the desolate hall became lively. The disciples from the other 3 halls would occasionally hurry over. After all, being able to receive the Pill River head immersion and endure it for 7 days was something that only a rare few seniors could achieve. Moreover, the thing that really caused their hearts to be shaken when that the whirlpool was still completely calm when the 7th day arrived and there was not the slightest activity. The fellow deep under within the Pill River did not show any signs of coming out. Looking from the situation in front of them, it seemed that Lin Dong would very likely endure until the 8th day. This result was something that only the senior sister Ying Xiaoxiao amongst the younger generation of the current Dao sect had reached. Could it be that this new disciple, who had joined the desolate hall for only a couple of days, was actually as talented as that senior sister? The faces of quite a number of disciples changed a little when they thought of this. This new person, who had become the champion of the 100 Empire War, really did appear to have some ability. The 8th day finally arrived while these many people were waiting quietly. After which, the entire Dao sect began to show signs of boiling because of it. However, this boiling had not lasted for long when everyone became strangely quiet. This was because they discovered that Lin Dong still did not show any signs of appearing. A figure was quietly seated on a flat platform deep within the sky hall of the Dao sect. Surging nirvana chi spread out from the Pill River. Finally, it lingered around her like a fog, causing her to appear a little more ethereal. Swoosh! However, a silent training did not continue for long. A somewhat anxious rushing wind sound suddenly appeared from behind. This caused her to frown slightly. Elder sister, something big has happened. However, before she could even issue a reprimand, a clear voice was transmitted behind her. The red-dressed Ying Huanhuan's lovely body gently landed on the platform and anxiously said, "What happened?" Ying Xiaoxiao glanced at the panting Ying Huanhuan behind from the corner of her eyes. Her tone did not have much fluctuation. "Do you still remember that Lin Dong whom I mentioned to you before? That 100 Empire War champion who forsook the Sky Hall and joined the Desolate Hall, right? Why? Has he provoked you again?" Ying Xiaoxiao swept her long hand over the green long sword and spoke without raising her head. "That fellow obtained the qualification for the Pill River head immersion the moment he entered the Desolate Hall, since he obtained the champion spot of the 100 Empire War," Ying Huanhuan said. "He is the 100 Empire War's champion. It is not overboard to enjoy such a reward. What are you unhappy about?" Ying Xiaoxiao was not surprised. Therefore, she spoke in a casual manner. "That's not it. That fellow," Ying Huanhuan's suet jade-like long hand was clenched. She immediately gritted her teeth and said, "That fellow has already stayed at the bottom of the Pill River for 8 days. Oh. Some emotion was finally revealed on Ying Xiaoxiao's quiet pool-like face. She turned her head with some surprise and said, "He has actually endured for 8 days. Being someone who had also experienced the Pill River head immersion, Ying Xiaoxiao clearly understood the terrifying pressure at the bottom of the Pill River. Back then, she could only endure for 8 days despite her best efforts. This result was already the best amongst the current younger generation of the Dao sect. It was unexpected that there was actually someone who was able to accomplish the same results as her today. It seems like Lin Dong is skilled indeed. How could that fellow be compared with elder sister? You are the most outstanding younger generation member in our Dao sect all these years," Ying Huanhuan curled her lips and said. "However, the Pill River of the Desolate Hall cannot be compared to ours and the pressure created is different. Nonetheless, it is not easy for him to be able to endure 8 days." Ying Xiaoxiao softly said. But Ying Huanhuan hesitated for a moment. Finally, she clenched her teeth and said, "But that fellow still does not show any signs of coming out even after staying for 8 days at the bottom of the Pill River." After Ying Huanhuan's words sounded out, she could sense Ying Xiaoxiao's figure froze momentarily. The latter's hand, which was holding onto the green longsword, also tightened in an instant. Clearly, a rare wave had been stirred in the latter's heart because of her words. He has yet to show any signs of coming out? Ying Xiaoxiao's body stiffened for a moment, before she finally turned her head around. Her pretty face was somewhat solemn as she looked at Ying Huanhuan and inquired, "I?" Currently, quite a number of disciples from the 4 halls are paying attention to the Pill River of the Desolate Hall. It is rumored that the fellow is still at the bottom of the Pill River and has yet to show signs of surfacing. Ying Huanhuan laughed bitterly. It was simply too difficult for him to imagine that the fellow, who was reprimanded by her for thinking too highly of himself, would actually obtain such a great result during the Pill River head immersion. "So it's like this," Ying Xiaoxiao's pretty eyes were focused. Her delicate finger gently landed on her sword. It seems like their Dao sect had recruited quite an outstanding disciple this time around. Elder sister, the best result any Tao sect disciple achieved during the Pill River head immersion is enduring for around 8 days or so. Just what happened to this fellow this time around? Could he have been directly pressured to death? Ying Huan muttered. The desolate hall's teacher Uncle Chen Zhen is definitely observing Lin Dong closely at this moment. How could he have not detected it if the latter was already crushed to death? Ying Xiao rolled her eyes while facing Ying Huan. Immediately, a deep thought flashed across her eyes as she said, typically speaking, enduring for 8 days or so during the Pill River head immersion should be the most outstanding result. However, there are also some exceptions during the history of our Tao sect. Oh! Ying Huan was startled. Back then, Senior Zhu Tong endured for 13 days. Of course, it is not that he was unable to continue enduring. Instead, it was because he had completely absorbed all the Nirvana golden chi at the bottom of the Pill River during those 13 days, Ying Xiao slowly explained. Completely absorbing all of it. Ying Huan was involuntarily stunned. The Nirvana golden chi was extremely wild and violent. Even those experts who had reached the 7 Yuan Nirvana stage would have difficulty absorbing all of them. Every year, almost all of the disciples from the 4 halls who possessed the qualification to obtain the Pill River head immersion did not dare to overestimate themselves and absorb all of those Nirvana golden chi. All they thought about was to try their best to endure 1 day longer at the bottom and absorb a little more Nirvana golden chi. One party was trying their best to absorb a little more, while the other was intending to absorb all the Nirvana golden chi. These two were already at 2 completely different levels. However, elder sister, the senior Zhu Tong that you mentioned should be that super fearsome person who comprehended the Great Desolation scripture and charged up to the Yuan Gate to kill 3 of their great elders, right? Ying Huan suddenly recovered and spoke weakly. Ying Xiao nodded slightly. Even her heart involuntarily felt an unusual worship towards this person when mentioning his name. Of course, it was likely that many Tao sect's disciples regarded him as a god. With only a sword, he charged up to the strongest faction in the Eastern Xian region, Yuan Gate, and killed 3 great elders one after another. In the end, he forced the Yuan Gate to activate the Great Sect formation to avoid a calamity. Even the chief of the Yuan Gate, who possessed an extremely high status within the Eastern Xian region, was forced to intervene. Although the final situation caused the Tao sect to be incomparably furious, they involuntarily felt some pride under this fury. So what if it was the Yuan Gate? Our Tao sect's disciple is able to kill 3 of your great elders. The Yuan Gate and the Tao sect were always on bad terms, and there were also numerous conflicts amongst their disciples. One of the reasons was because of Zhu Tong's incident back then. How could that fellow called Lin Dong be comparable to senior Zhu Tong? Ying Huan bit her lips and demanded. However, the current situation is reality. There are only 2 reasons why he continues to stay at the bottom of the Pill River. One is that he had been pressured until he can no longer move and cannot leave as he pleased. The second is that he also possessed the same thought as senior Zhu Tong. He wants to completely absorb all the Nirvana golden chi at the bottom of the Pill River. Ying Xiao spoke faintly. Although I am not aware of how he is able to do so, his potential is indeed quite shocking. Ying Huan widened her mouth, but she did not say anything. A moment later, she finally muttered, could it be that elder sister thinks that this fellow will become like senior Zhu Tong? Senior Zhu Tong is an exceptional genius. Even if Lin Dong is able to absorb all of the Nirvana golden chi at the bottom of the Pill River, there is still a huge gulf between him and senior Zhu Tong in terms of their achievements. One should at the very least wait until he truly comprehends the Great Desolation scripture before judging, Ying Xiao softly replied. Moreover, whether he is currently able to do what senior Zhu Tong did and absorb all the Nirvana golden chi at the bottom of the Pill River in an overbearing fashion is still uncertain. However, this matter will likely come to a conclusion soon. I am also very curious. Ying Xiao turned her head around. Her eyes looked towards the direction where the desolate hall was located. Some interest flashed across her pretty eyes. She also wished to see just what kind of great ability this 100 Empire war champion, who had stirred quite a big commotion the moment he entered the Tao sect, actually possessed. Being the most lively place currently within the Tao sect, the sky above the desolate Hall's-Pill River was frequently filled with the sound of rushing wind. Numerous figures stood on the platforms around. Their eyes were all locked towards a direction. That was the black whirlpool that was at the middle of the Pill River. Currently, news that Lin Dong had endured for 8 days within the Pill River had become common knowledge within the Tao sect. Even some elders had come over to witness it. They also paid great attention to this. After all, amongst the current younger generation of Tao sect, only Ying Xiaoxiao had done it before. Of course, the thing that they paid most attention about was that Lin Dong still showed no signs of appearing despite enduring for 8 days. This scene stunned quite a number of extremely experienced people within the Tao sect too. That was because it seemed like a similar situation had also occurred a century ago. At that time, the one who had caused this uproar, the one who charged into Yuan Gate all by himself, his name was called Zhu Tong. Some of the older generation members looked towards the direction of the desolate Hall's-Pill River from a great distance. They muttered to themselves, "Our Tao sect, could another Zhu Tong emerge again?" This video will end here.